What's up, everybody? Today, not even today, right now, I just decided to share something with you. This is a book that I'm working on. It's currently in its rough draft. I'm doing editing right now on it, but it's pretty funny. It's a comedy. It is called The Prince of Comedy Rise to Royalty. You're looking at the prologue right now. I currently have about 350 pages, and I'm looking for proofreaders, or test readers, or small midgets. If you're one of those things, go ahead and get in contact with me by messaging me on Facebook or emailing me at grandshrubbery@gmail.com. If you don't know how to spell grand shrubbery, I'll show you. It's pretty simple. That is, in the comm has to be little like that or it just won't make it. Anyways, I was gonna go ahead and narrate, maybe a little bit of this for you guys. See if I can get some of your feedback on it. So, without further ado, Prologue. The bang that was heard around the house. Introducing the head-banging common prince of discord, and oh yeah, that's Barbara. He is a prince. That's what he continually tells himself. You see, somewhere along the way, after a certain number of repetitions, the things we tell ourselves become true. This prince was born in a large bay city on a windy day by the warm sunny coast of California. He didn't need a king to slap him and utter some obscenities to know that he was a prince. Not that there was even one handy to begin with. All it took for him was a childhood of watching Disney and a little good old-fashioned research on the internet. He is a prince. Only there was no crown and he didn't have any little subjects, a castle, or even very much property in general to speak of or call his own. But who needs that kind of stuff anyway, right? At least, at first. What he did have was the purest of beliefs in his nobleness, and a beautiful shiny black cloak he had purchased at a second-hand store when he was much younger, a necessity no prince would be caught dead without. Not to his knowledge at the time of purchase, he later found out about its hidden pouch, something that came in came in quite handy. He even had a place to sleep, until he finally decided to open his eyes that morning to angrily hit the snooze button on his worn-out alarm clock. Waking up before he's ready to has always been one of his biggest pet peeves. There's something utterly unnatural about your body telling you to go back to sleep, and because you have to be somewhere, you force yourself up, ignoring the animal instincts that took mankind thousands of years to evolve. I mean, think about it. It's ass backwards if you ask him. He didn't have any time to think about it, much less answer any rhetorical questions. Nay, not even a second of precious time, for he was going to be late. The prince threw his shabby blanket off, ran to the bathroom, threw some water on his face, ran back to his room, threw a mess, and threw his work outfit on, khaki dress pants and a blue button-up shirt with its name tag, Joshua. Noticing a small stain on his shirt and knowing that throughout his day he'd be getting thoroughly teased through and through about it, he chose at this time to fully disregard the measly noticeable mark and make haste to his closet. Throwing the doors back, he threw his favorite cloak onto his back off the hook with a quick triumphant look into his dusty mirror and threw the doors back. There's something about a prince in a cloak that just brings people hope. At least it does for him every morning as he takes about 55.5 admiring seconds before he sets off to a busy day of servitude. There's something comically ironic about a noble prince being forced to serve that he just finds blasphemous. However, at this point in time, he seemed to be the only one in the boat. So as hard as he did rock it, and he would like it duly noted that he rocks the boat hard solo to and fro to the bone, it takes more than one man, granted that man may very well indeed be of princely nature, to, as they say, rock the boat, at least in its entirety. A different boat definitely was rocking, however, as he put his headphones on. Just not quite enough to have a certain impact which brings about a sudden change, which, unknown to him, was in fact just about to bring about a serious change, and we're not talking just quarters, dimes, or even pennies. The headphones slipped onto his, head, and as he turned on his favorite song, his legs skipped to the beat. Skipping is actually a great form of transportation. Not only does it get you more distance than striding, it's also very manly and in no way feminine or pansy. In fact, it is so manly, he finds it often makes him grunt, the manliest of sounds. Prancing. Now, prancing is pansy. He never prances. Well, except for this one time. And that was an extreme circumstance. At the press of a tiny button, his world became a beautiful, soothing, melodic place. He closes his eyes in exquisite ecstasy as his favorite song begins. The energy is so powerful, and he becomes so emotional, that he becomes whimsical, and as the emotions build up, his body seeks for a way to release the energy. Now, as we know, music is passion, and passion is heat. Heat rises. This is a passionately heated energy, which of course seeks to release. Now obviously, if it can only go up, there is only one place for it to go. So his head begins methodically nodding to the beat, and each nod becomes greater, great enough in fact that the energy compounds greatly enough to blow up, and when things blow up, they go bang! So his head passionately bangs, and let him tell you, there is nothing quite like a good head banging. It relieves the neck muscles, bangs any and all stress and tension right out of you, and it's fun. There he is, banging his way down the hallway to the stairs as he skips to the beat, a perfect specimen of masculinity, when suddenly his headphones are snagged off his very ears. His beautiful, soothing, melodic place has been interrupted, and he seeks out the source of this interference. Glaring behind him, he turns to find his landlady, Barbara, holding his headphones in her outstretched, swollen, pudgy, pink, piggish hands. In no way collected, and his ears still used to the loud, vibrant music, he yells out with no volume control whatsoever. "Hey! I was listening to that! What the hey?" Barbara's swollen, pudgy, pink, piggish hands hold the headphones up to her ear, and she grimaces. Her brunette hair is a mess, closely resembling an old mop sticking out from her large circular pink head. She was originally from somewhere in Germany, and everyone knows you do not mess with an angry German, and even if you are brave enough, certainly not in the early hours of the morning. Especially if you were unfortunate enough to have just woke them up. Especially if they'd been having a secret repeating dream of Ricky Martin, and you had the misfortune of rudely awakening them up just as the dream was getting to their favorite part, which she did, he had, and it was. She angrily replies with a vision of Ricky Martin still in her head, reaching out to embrace her, his love. And just as they're about to kiss, bang! She wakes up to a loud noise. Listening to this? This noise? I know you listen to noisy noise. You listen to it every morning, noisily stomp all around my house, cause chaos, disrupt peace, and interrupt my sleep. Interrupt my love. Not sure just how to respond to that last part. Interrupt her love? Joshua just stood there, unable to comprehend just what she meant. He knew for a fact that she was single and hadn't dated anyone in all of nearly the year he had been living there. Other than that, he had no idea. Of her love life, he was blissfully ignorant. Barbara, watching him standing there in his silly cape, becomes angrier at each passing silent second. In her anger, she forms a plan. No more would this noisy boy interrupt her life. Breaking the silence, barely holding her anger in check, she grins, asking, "Today is the 4th. Rent was due 2 days ago. You no pay. Where is the rent money?" Joshua's eyes bulge and he grimaces as he quickly replies, "Well, you see, I had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to invest my money into my calculations triplet, so..." Barbara interrupts. "You have no money?" "Well, no, I don't have the money. I do have the product, though. Actually, I've been meaning to ask you if you might be interested in working with me. Have you ever thought of owning your own business?" Ignoring his invitation in business, Barbara simply states, "No money, no room. You leave end of today." Joshua hadn't been sleeping very well these past nights, knowing he didn't have the rent money. He had been afraid to tell her. Now that she knew, it was like a huge weight had been lifted from his chest. He felt lighter, free. Yet, reaching into his pockets and feeling them empty, still poor. Broke, to be exact. And as for as free as he felt, rent sure wasn't. He quietly asked, "So, you're saying I have until the end of the day to pay, or you're going to kick me out?" Barbara smiled happily before replying, her anger slightly receding. "No pay, no stay, you go away." She turned to go back towards her room with a vision of Ricky Martin in her head. She sighed. Maybe she could fall back to sleep and finish her secret dream. Joshua thought hard and fast. There was only one way out of this. "Okay, I think I can have the money by the end of today. For sure." For someone so big, she was not very quick, and by the way Barbara twisted around, you'd think she'd been a professional ballet dancer, although such a thought would be quite preposterous altogether, as everyone knows ballet dancers have the tiniest of frames, while our Barbara, well, doesn't. Her large circular head was spinning as her even larger body had. She did not want this boy living here any longer, but if he was going to, it had better be worth it, and by worth it she meant cash, the cold, hard kind. That's when it hit her. She smirked, explaining, "Okay, except there's a fine. Rent plus $200 late fee." Joshua exclaimed as it in turn hit him. $200 late fee? That's how much the rent is. You know there's no way I can come up with that kind of money. I make minimum wage for Pete's sake. Barbara didn't know who the heck Pete was. She did know this noisy boy was gonna be leaving by tonight. "Not my problem. You late, you pay $200 late fee." Joshua's whole world was upside down. The taste of his mouth turned bitter upon hearing, maybe not all knowledge is power, as this newfound knowledge left him feeling rather powerless. There was only one thing he could say, so he said it. "Okay." In his head, he knew there was no way. There was only one thing for Barbara to say as well, and she said it a lot happier than you might expect. "Okay." She turned around for the fourth time, or was that the fifth now, and began walking back towards her room. Joshua saw for the first time and exclaimed, "Hey, wait!" Barbara sighed, wondering what it could possibly be now, and turned around. "Okay, now this is the fifth time." Joshua explained, "You're all tangled up in my headphones. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Back to being a prince, since the seriousness of the situation and the sly, slick trickster Barbara would believe herself to be had Joshua feeling slightly less princely. In fact, this is the least princely he'd felt in years. Where the heck was he going to come up with $400? That was a lot of money for a young prince making only minimum wage part-time at the local electronics store Best Purchase to come up with. The very job he realized he was going to be late for. Picking up the headphones Barbara had recently entangled herself from, he put them on his neck. Now was one of the very rare times that was not for music. He ran to the front door, throwing it open and slamming it shut with a loud bang. Barbara grimaced, annoyed at the noise from her bedroom, then settled herself down into her bed with a knowing smile. That was the last bang she was going to be hearing from that boy. She closed her eyes and pictured Ricky Martin. Regretfully, for her, she was wrong. There were many more bangs yet to be had from that boy.